Hey everyone! Our episode today is a little bit different. Rita and I are getting personal and sharing some fun facts about ourselves that you may not know. From unexpected career paths and lives we've lived, to hidden talents, surprising hobbies, and a few things that you may have never ever guessed. We also reflect on how all of these different versions of ourselves have shaped who we are today. After you listen, we'd love to hear from you too. Head over to our Patreon page, leave a comment, and share a fun fact about yourself so we can get to know you. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoy this conversation.
Welcome to the Ayurveda for Women's Health podcast, where we simplify ancient Ayurvedic wisdom into practical guidance for everyday life. Between the overwhelming wellness trends, quick fixes, and conflicting health advice out there, we return to a science that has been around for thousands of years. I'm Rita, an Ayurvedic health counselor.
And I'm Brittni, an Ayurveda practitioner. In a world that disconnects us from our bodies, we are here to guide you back. Through body literacy, practical tools, and time-tested science, we will help you step boldly into a more empowered, aligned version of yourself. So let's dive in. This podcast is for educational purposes only and is not medical advice. Views expressed do not represent our employers. Are you excited for a conversation today?
I don't know if excited's the right word, but no, yeah, I am. So essentially Brittni came up on the idea of having us share some facts about ourselves that people may not know, which I think is a great idea in the sense of, I know if I'm listening to something, I like to know a little bit about the person I'm listening to. So I hung up our last call being like, that was a great idea. I'm excited. And then had a moment of like, well, maybe I'm not that interesting. But I'm interested to see what you come up with and how this unfolds. Yeah.
Well, I think that we will learn through this conversation that that's probably not true, and you are interesting. And I'm excited to learn more about you. I'm curious if there's things that you'll say that I know nothing about, and I'm curious what I'm curious how this will unfold. So I'm excited to talk about it. And I think what's interesting is I feel like my life now is just so different than all these other lives that I've lived. And still, though, they are these experiences that like make you who you are. And maybe there's still bits of those people that you've been in the past. There's like little bits of them of who you still are today. And so I think it's fun to just reflect on different experiences that have like shaped us and made us who we are, and maybe give us some of the quirks that we have now in a positive, fun way. And I agree with you. I think it's fun to connect and learn more about the people that you're listening to, because I find myself listening to podcasts feeling like I'm this person's friend. And I'm like, oh, they know me, like you're my friend. And so yeah, if people are out there listening to it, like I want to share a little bit more, and maybe people can share some fun facts about themselves after listening to this in our Patreon, where you can join the chat and we can learn about you too. So I think it's a fun way to connect with people.
I love that. I love what you said about kind of those different chapters of our lives and how funny it can be to reflect on those. And yeah, definitely like your idea too of inviting other people into the space to share too. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, who's going first?
I'm gonna volunteer you to go first.
That's fair. Well, one thing that people might not know about me is that I lived in my truck for 2 years.
Wow.
Did you know that?
I did not know that about you. When was that? How long ago?
So it was when I lived in Colorado, and maybe this leading into this. So I didn't have a car for 3 years, and I lived in Boulder, and I bike commuted everywhere, and it was like such a great place to be a bike commuter. Very accessible. So like year round through the winter, everything was like, you could get anywhere you needed to go. So I didn't have a car for 3 years. And then when I bought my truck, it was so expensive to pay for rent and for a truck. So I just lived in my truck to make it work. And really, it was kind of at this time where like van life was like coming to be a thing and like it was very common. But it was different for me because it wasn't like, it was a financial decision was more of the impetus for it. And of course it unlocked, other opportunities and ventures and like it was easy to travel and like have a place to sleep. Certainly had a lot of challenges, but yeah, so that was about 10 years ago. And while I was living in my truck in Boulder, I had made the decision to move back to the East Coast and I landed in the White Mountains here. I knew some people up here. And so my first couple of years here, I had an apartment and like lived in a house. But then I ended up living in my truck again, like a year through the winter in New England.
Wow.
Brutal. Like it was like
That's intense.
yeah, financial decision to do that. Like I did not want to live in my truck. I made the best of it and it was certainly like an experience. But yeah, through the winter it was very hard. And here, like coming from Colorado, it was so dry. Like it was easy to live out there in the winter and, in the truck and like live through different seasons. Here it was not that case. Like everything is damp, everything is wet all the time. So I ended up renting an office space to kind of help dry out my clothes and like have a place to go when it was really cold. But yeah, it was tough. It was hard. So and it wasn't all bad, right? Like it was certainly like a season of life that I learned a lot and had a lot of experiences from. And uh it was also really hard too.
Yeah. I can't even think of a question to ask you because I'm still just processing how absolutely freezing that must have been. Yeah.
It was, yeah. That was one of the hard parts because so I have a truck with a cap on the back, and so it was like an extended cap, so it was a little bit higher. So the way that I had it built out was pretty simple. It was just like a piece of wood in the back with drawers underneath, and I was able to sit up. I guess I actually had a couple build outs in this truck at different points, but I was able to sit up and get dressed, but I'd get dressed like in my sleeping bag. So I'd like keep the clothes I was going to wear the next day like in the sleeping bag to make sure they're warm in the morning when I put them up to just like make that transition easier. But yeah, it definitely was a little like, okay, I'm ready to like not get dressed, laying down every every
Yeah.
day. It
Yeah.
was tricky.
Do you still have that truck?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
truck is going strong at 280,000 miles.
Wow.
I know. We're having the discussion of like, okay, what's next and when is that next vehicle coming?
Yeah. Because you guys, you'll camp in that now, right? You and John and Rosa?
Yeah. So once I moved into a place, I undid the builds and like took the back of it out. And it was so nice to have a topper off for a little bit. And like, oh, this feels like freedom. Just like not having this huge heavy thing you're driving around all the time. But yes, now the topper's on. And last year we rebuilt it out because we did a road trip out west for a couple months last summer. So that was the inspiration for getting the build out back. So now it has a simple uh bed in the back, drawers underneath for storage. Pretty basic, but yeah. So now it's easy to go camping. And we're like, oh, just like grab some sleeping bags, and we have a little mattress we'll throw in there, which is nice. So
It must bring you back when you're
It does.
in there. Are you like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I lived here for that long?
Well, it was so cozy. Like it really was just like, and when it was just me, right? Like before John and before Rosa, like it was just me. So it was like there was a lot of space back there, and like I'm not very tall, so it feels kind of roomy in some ways. For like a camping trip feels nice, but it's perfect actually with Rosa and I because she has her little spot and I have my spot, and it's like actually kind of cute back there.
Oh.
But then when John's with us, it gets a little tight in there.
Oh.
So, and I'd say the question that I would get all the time from people, which I never would have thought of this, but people like, you live in your truck, where do you go to the bathroom?
Oh, that was my question too. Yeah.
That's amazing.
I immediately, as you said that, was like, how was your acne during those years? How were you digesting?
Yeah, it was very different back then. But Yeah, I mean, like, if I was out camping, like,
Sure.
find a place to go to the bathroom in the woods,
Yeah.
or you get to a coffee shop in the morning, and, like, you kind of living in the city, I would have like, in Boulder, I would have those go-to places where I knew I could park, I knew I could use a restroom, and I would have a gym membership so I could shower there.
Hmm.
And I actually ended up camping or parking a lot behind the climbing gym,
Mm.
which makes sense. Like, there's a bunch of other climbers that lived in their vehicles, and we would have these, like, little potluck gatherings and, like, hang out, and so you kinda, like, got into a rhythm of where you would park, and traveling's a little different because then you have to, like, figure it out as you go, but living in one place and living in your vehicle, you kind of got to know where the spots were that worked pretty well, so yeah, it definitely had its challenges, and it was tiring. It was like, there's always something new every day that I had to figure out,
Mm.
and, like, that was not helpful for my nervous system.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because I was thinking when you were describing that, I'm like, well, on one hand, like you don't have the distractions, you're just like having this nice little cozy space for yourself and time to
Mm,
yourself. And then the other hand, I'm like, well, there's so many things
mm,
that you'd have to constantly be mindful of and
yeah,
be figuring
yeah.
out. And yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that was what it felt like too. It's like I had an organization system so that everything fit where it needed to go, but it was it didn't take much for that to get disorganized. So,
Mm,
like, a little bit of disorganization
yeah.
felt like everything was exploding. So, I really was diligent about trying to keep things organized, or else it just felt like everything was chaos.
Yeah.
And that took some, like, trial and error with, like, figuring out the setup and, like, where things made sense, and the first build out I had is very different than the build out that I have now because you just kinda learn as you go and have to make adjustments. But I remember the holidays were always really hard because my family just wanted to, like, give me things,
Mm.
and I was like, "I don't have room for things, like, don't give me anything." Even, like, extra T-shirts or something, I was like, "No, I have, like, my 5 T-shirts, and that's all I've got room for." So, it was tricky.
Man, well, I definitely just learned something new about you. I knew you were resilient, but that ups it a level. I talk often with Bryce about van life, and we have been
Yeah.
scheming up like a trip where we can rent a van for a bit and do that. But I don't know, maybe it's the tourist in me. I like to think of myself as low maintenance, but I know that I'm not. And uh I think I need a bougier van.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, the truck was a hard way to do it, like, a van would have different challenges, but, like, would definitely give you a little bit more room to stand up.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice.
Oh,
So,
man.
yeah, that's my first one.
Yeah, kicking it off with a good one. Yeah.
Alright, let's, on to you.
Well, the first one that I was gonna share, you do know about me, but I don't think I've talked about it on this podcast, at least I don't think in terms of anything we've aired, is that I have 2 careers. And so I'm sure people listening are familiar with my Ayurveda practice, my business, but I also work as a medical speech language pathologist. And yeah, I've been doing that for about 13 years now and all fully in the medical outpatient and acute care setting. So people often will learn I'm a speech pathologist and ask me about their kids' speech, and I know very little to
Mm,
nothing about that. I have worked primarily with people who've had a stroke or brain injury or concussion or people going through treatment for head and neck cancer, voice therapy. So a good mix there. But it's really interesting because I quite literally now split my time. So I work 20 hours a week in Western medicine in a hospital and the other portion of the time in Eastern medicine in my practice. So it's turned out to be a really interesting schedule in that way. And sometimes it can be a little tricky with like task switching between the two, but so offers some interesting perspective differences. And yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm fascinated by your work. I think it's so interesting to me, and every time we have a conversation, you, like, bring in that lens. I'm like, "Wow, this is, like, so really, really cool that that's, like, how you're helping people
Hmm.
in that way." So I'm always fascinated by the things that you share throughout our conversations, whether it's just our own or, like, through some recordings even. Um, but what brought you into that? Like, how did you start that direction?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's kind of an interesting story. So, when I went into the field of speech pathology, I actually didn't know about the medical side of it at all. I initially went in to work with kids and thought I'd be working in a school. And then going into my sophomore year of college, my mom ended up getting sick with throat cancer, and she's doing amazing now, but she had to go through surgery and chemo and radiation and lost her ability to talk and to swallow for a bit. And so she worked with a speech pathologist, and it was around the same time that I was taking those types of classes and introduced to that part of the profession. And yeah, I never looked back. I was completely committed to doing the medical side of things. And yeah, I just love it. I love the variety in that I'm doing voice therapy, I'm also doing swallowing therapy, I'm doing cognitive therapy. So it's good variety. And I really love working in outpatient and developing relationships with clients. And yeah, so it's something that I think can get a little difficult for me at times now, in that I'll be working with clients and really wanna slip them my Ayurveda card. But I don't, obviously, I have to stay within my scope of practice, and that,
Yeah.
again, is where the task switching gets interesting. I think all the time about combining my worlds and putting together some kind of Ayurveda for head injury type of specialty. And maybe one day I will. I also always come back to not wanting to put myself in a box in that way and narrow things down. I think that's also, again, that variety that I mentioned in the speech part of my career. I also really enjoy that in the Ayurveda part of my career. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what comes with that. And I always get excited when I do get to work with clients who have those types of symptoms or diagnoses, neurological, communicative, because it's just like so deep in my wheelhouse. And I really enjoy looking at things from multiple perspectives. So that's me nerding out.
Yeah, and, like, bringing in the Ayurvedic understanding to, what's happening in the body, specifically in that sense, and especially with women, right? And I'm curious what you've seen in your experience and just how understanding that there's a lot of suppression that happens for female voices and, like, how that shows up in pathologies, and I know you've shared a little bit with me before. um, I don't know if that's something that you've seen a lot of in that practice.
Yeah, it's a good question. So, in working with people who are experiencing challenges with voice, so that could be pathology like vocal nodules or muscle tension dysphonia, which essentially is when your voice can get hoarse or sometimes you just have a lot of throat discomfort after talking. It's very accepted in the speech literature that there can be this very strong emotional component with vocal challenges, and there's ways that that's explained in science. And then I think there's also ways that we can explain that when we think about the throat chakra and we think about vata, and the throat is a very vata area. And um like it's interesting to look at it from different lenses, but honestly, I think my experiences with voice therapy are part of what moved me to holistic health, is just anecdotally working with clients. And I'd spend a lot of time with these clients, so often those things would come up and it would be a safe space for people to share. And just hearing like the same story again and again, people would bring up that they had always felt like they had to kind of hold things back or couldn't use their voice in a certain way. And then I also worked for maybe like a year and a half or two for a contractor company as a communication coach for a bit when we first moved to Vermont. And that was super interesting because it did end up being working with people who had a lot of fear around communication, a lot of anxiety, or felt like they couldn't get their voice out. And yes, it was absolutely a lot of women. It was a lot of women who were working in corporate spaces that I ended up working with in that situation. I also ended up working with a lot of people of color through that
Mm.
profession as well, and I think that was also another interesting lens of looking of how those factors of white supremacy have come into play there and how that has impacted communication comfort in for so many individuals. So it's really interesting. And then maybe we can unpack this further on a future episode one day, because I think communication is just it's such a big talking point for so many people. And even, like, personally, it's something that I've had a complex relationship with, but I think that there's so many different lenses that we can look at it from. And I think going back to your point and just being rooted in that this is the Ayurveda for Women's Health podcast, I think it's something that so many women have really struggled with. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Well, fascinating. I mean, I think it's so important that you're doing that work. And I love that you have this, the Ayurveda side to bring to it and to blend them together. And so, okay, so that kind of brings me to my other one too, which is since you're going the career direction, I think what we'll start to see here is a theme that actually Ayurveda is woven into all of the things that we're sharing today, even though they're from like experiences that began before, like pre-Ayurveda, uh, for us. So my undergraduate degree is interior design. So I have a
Mm.
bachelor's in interior design, which Rita, you knew, but I haven't used that degree very much. And it's interesting. It's kind of coming full circle with Ayurveda, and I'll talk about what that means a little bit. But yeah, my undergrad, so like my first college experience was in going into interior design. And when I was little, I would draw out spaces and like floor plans. When I was like 7, I remember drawing them out, and I just was so fascinated by space and spatial relationships and how we move through them. And so I went for interior design as my undergrad, and then graduated the year of the recession, and applied to 60 firms, like could not get a job anywhere. So I ended up working at Starbucks for a little bit, and then I got a job with Crate and Barrel as a stylist, and then I got a job at Neiman Marcus as a visual stylist, and was actually doing hands-on displays and working with mannequins and all of the visual design throughout the department store. And if anyone knows, Neiman Marcus is a high-end retail store, and this was outside of Boston that I was doing this. And it was just fascinating because I'm not someone that shops or dresses high end, but I was here like styling these mannequins with Prada and Valentino and Gucci and like all of these like really expensive materials and clothing and items. And I just remember when we're doing the mannequins, I would have to pin some of the dresses to fit the mannequins, and like pinning this like $14,000 dress, and I'm like,
Jeez.
oh my god, like you're trusting me with this, like this is crazy. But it just was, I was there and I enjoyed the hands-on design work, right? And you like visually being engaged and creative, like my the Vata side of me was like very happy in that regard, but I wasn't really happy working there, and I didn't enjoy the larger impact of what I was doing, right? And like the fashion industry didn't really resonate with me in that way. So anyway, so I moved on from there, but that was where I kind of got started after school. And interior design has always fascinated me in terms of space and how we interact with space, and it has really evolved in understanding it through the Ayurvedic lens, and
Mm.
now studying Vastu, which is the study of architecture in Ayurveda. And more coming soon on that because I'm studying it right now. But it's really fascinating to me to begin to integrate that now, understanding Ayurveda and how we look at colors and textures and qualities and feelings and energy from all of those, right? From our spaces, from the clothes we wear, from, our environment in the natural world, in the space that we live in, and how to integrate all of that relative to how we're feeling, and to seek balance based on even the space that we live in and how we
Mm.
set up, what feels balancing for us, and using those energies. So there's a lot more that I'm learning right now in terms of Vastu, but I'm very excited to bring in my interior design background and Ayurveda and like bring them together. Like they're currently meeting, and it's so exciting for me. So I'm very, very excited to learn that.
I love that you're bringing them together. So I remember when we met for a walk, gosh, was that like a year ago now?
Yeah, yeah.
And you were just coming off of an Ojas retreat. And so I think you were in that little cocoon and that like really creative energy that can come out of that cocoon. And I think that was when I learned about your background and and then also hearing about these ideas with Vastu. And I remember just getting that full body, like, oh my goodness, I'm so excited for you to do this. And I just see it, I feel it. And yeah, I think it's going to be really cool to see where that ends up going. To me, it like is something that is so real to feel the energetic movement throughout a house and certain directions that we're facing and all of those different factors that come in. So I'm so excited to see what you end up doing with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Me too. I felt that too, just as you described. As soon as I made that connection and I was like, whoa, this feels very exciting to explore this and to like see what comes of it because I mean, it's very real, right? It's like something we're always interacting with spaces
Yeah.
and what's around us. And, you know, I've certainly lived in a lot of different spaces and like different types of spaces. And you can connect with the energy that you feel in them and like how that resonates with you. And, you know, you can even think about having stagnant energy or vibrant energy. And I think more to come on this, but I think Vastu really highlights how to honor different natural energies that happen in different areas of the structure.
Mm.
And part of that has to do with like north, south, east, west, where those are creating different energies, where like the sun rising is creating a very different energy than the sun setting.
Mm.
And we start to bring that into the home and to allow natural energy to move without creating blocks. The same way that we think about our body, right? Like where's the energy moving and flowing? We can apply that to the space that we're interacting in.
Yeah.
So more to
Yeah.
come.
More to come. And I'm excited to learn more from you in that sense too. Because Vastu is something I've always been interested in, but not something I feel super grounded at all in my knowledge about. So I'm excited to learn from you
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Wow.
Cool.
Cool. Okay, where should I go next? Let's see. Well, maybe I'll just do kind of a light, funny, silly one because I told you before we jumped on that I didn't really have 5 planned out, and you were like, "Oh, you'll think of one." And when you were talking in the beginning about just these like different chapters that we go through in life, for some reason, what popped up is my middle school version of myself. And when I was in this rebellious phase and I had purple hair, and I used to go to screamo, emo type concerts and go in mosh pits and wear studded belts. And it was just a version of myself as you were describing that I had so much love for. Um, I can remember my best friend, if she's listening, from when we were children. She dyed my hair purple in her bathroom, like the underneath layer. And it's so funny to look at pictures because all of my friends from middle school that I'm still super close with, they all will have on like little polo shirts and pearls. And I'm in like my purple hair. Like at one point it was a tie-dye t-shirt. So I feel like I always had this part of me that wanted to go against the grain on some level that I used to fight and that I now have learned to embrace, even though that's not my style currently. And total respect if it's yours. But yeah, it's a funny version of myself.
Yeah, Rita, your hair is not purple right now.
It's
For
like
anyone listening.
traditionally brown as it could be. Yeah.
Wow, I love this for you. I had no idea.
I love it for me too. I love, yeah, she's
That's so
just
fun.
trying to, middle school's hard, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. When do you feel like you shifted or like moved out of that? Because that's not what I see now.
Yeah. I think I think maybe the deeper story of it all is how many different
Mm.
identities I tried on. Because at one point I did go a bit more preppy, and then I went super hippie, and just like getting into the aesthetic. Where now I feel like I'm maybe don't dress that way, but I'm definitely a hippie at heart, in all ways. Yeah, it's kind of funny to reflect on.
Yeah. All right. I think you might have to surface some photos
Oh, I
for
can
us.
do that.
Rita with purple hair. I love it. I had purple lipstick at one time.
Ooh.
I remember I would only put it on the bus because I wasn't allowed to like have it at home. So I would put it on the bus. Part of my rebellious stage too. Well, I think you bring that same energy, like you're saying, to like just like not sticking with what's traditional and just, going with what's feeling good for you and like listening to that at the time, and evolving and changing as you learn and grow, and you still have that energy even if you don't have purple hair.
Uh, yeah, it's still a process of trying to stay true to that, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm here for it because I'm with you on, on that direction.
I think that's why we're friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Well, I guess speaking of another life, maybe I'll go here next. Uh, a few years ago, I had gotten into bike packing,
Mm.
and I had won a 640-mile bike race. Overall, overall winner, like not just the female. I was actually the only female to finish
Wow.
that year, and I was the first one to finish the route. So it's the Vermont Super 8.
Oh, okay.
Are you familiar with that
A
race?
little bit. Yeah.
So it starts in Montpelier, and basically the route, there's a north lobe and a south lobe, and if you ride both of them, it makes a figure eight of Vermont. So you're
Okay.
really like touching all four corners of Vermont if you ride the whole route. So the whole route is 640 miles. And with bike packing, it's interesting where you don't sign up, you like send in a letter of intent. There's no registration fee, there's no prize. Like, you're just out there for the joy of doing it, or for the challenge, or for whatever the internal motivation is. And so this was in 2020, and I was kind of new to bike packing. I had done longer like road biking trips, but not as many bike packing like in the woods trips. So this was like totally different experience. So this is like the first season I had explored this. So anyways, it's this like really rugged route that goes through Vermont, and there's like hike-a-bike sections, and there's mostly like, in Vermont the roads go from like paved to gravel to ATV.
Yeah.
And so it was basically that the entire time. So like as you're going through, you like, you go through this neighborhood, and then you take this turn, and you're on this gravel road, and then it turns into ATV, and then you're hiking your bike, and you're in the middle of nowhere, and like no one is around, and then you like pop out on the other side and like do it all over again. So you basically are doing that for 640 miles. So it now so many people have broken the record since then, but at the time no female had finished before.
Wow.
And I think it had been happening for like somewhere around like 6 to 10 years or something. And it was slowly becoming more popular. Maybe like 20 people started that year, the year that I did it. I forget the exact number. It was somewhere around there, like not a lot of people. And so anything can happen in these races, right? Like mechanicals or fatigue, or like, oh, I ran out of time and now I have to go back to work, or what,
Yeah.
like, right? Anything could happen on these races. And I hadn't set out to race, but yeah, finished, and turns out I was the first one to finish, and only two other people finished that year. The day after me, two guys had finished. Since then, so many women have done it, and it felt, I don't know, exciting to feel like there was a little bit of a barrier broken, and now other people are doing it too. And now it's become more popular. And at that time of my life, I was in I've had a lot of versions of myself. But at that version of my life, I was a film producer. And
Oh.
so I know. So I actually there's a movie about this event, because as I'm riding my bike out there in the middle of the night in the woods alone by myself, I'm like having all these ideas like at different points in the race. And one of them was to like make a story about this event, and like what people do and the types of people that do it. Really, it was the story of the people that are doing this event. So then I pitched this as an idea to the filmmakers that I was connected with at the time, and the next year went back and I filmed the race. And now there's a movie out there about the Vermont Super 8 to get more people into bike packing.
I feel like I have so many questions right now.
I can tell.
I think I need to start with, can you just help me, as someone who I think the farthest I've ridden, I'm not a biker, I think the farthest I've ridden on a bike is like 25 miles. Can you help me conceptualize like how long does that take?
So for me at the time, it was 8 days that I was riding. So I would try and sleep at night. There was a couple nights where I rode through the night, or like rode until like 2 a.m. and then slept for a few hours and then started again. Everyone approaches it differently. So there's not like if you're signing up for this, everyone's going to race it the same way.
Mhm.
Everyone has a very different intention. So like some people are racing, some people are just out for a joyride and doing like 20 miles a day and taking a couple weeks to do it if they want. It really all depends on, you know, your interest and how you want to approach it and like the time it might take you. I think bike packing has become more popular over the last few years, and there are more routes out there, and like it's a whole niche industry now that's really evolved over the last 10 years, which is really cool to see. So there is more racing going on, but there is still like any paces, any levels, any abilities can be out there
Cool.
with different intentions. I didn't start out racing, but then one of my friends was texting me, everyone else has dropped for mechanicals or issues. Like, you're winning.
Wow.
Keep going. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll keep going. I wasn't racing, but now I guess I'm racing. So I kind of started out pretty casual and really didn't have an expectation other than to finish. So yeah, can be a lot of variation to what the experience is like for people.
Yeah. Wow. That is incredible. Also, as you were describing that, I'm reminded of our episode where we were talking about body constitutions and you were sharing that you didn't initially know you were a pitta. And I'm like, how did this girl not know she was a pitta? This is about as pitta gets to decide to bike pack for 8 days, 650 miles. Is that what you said?
A 640, yeah.
640.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. And that was my other question. At what point did you realize that you were like the first finisher? That must have been, whew.
I think it was day like 4 or 5.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think there was like 2 people ahead of me, and then one got a mechanical, and then I think one just like mentally like didn't want to go on for whatever reason. And then all of a sudden I was like leading the race and was
Wow.
like, oh, okay. And not everyone considers it a race, right? Like some people race and some people don't. But
Sure.
then I kind of switched. I'm like, all right, I guess I'm going to race this thing. Like, let's see what I can do. And then I feel like every day up until day 5, I was like, oh, maybe I should quit, or maybe I'll bail. Maybe I just am over this. And there was a lot of tears. Like, there's so many experiences I could go into of this 8 days. A conversation for another time. But at day 5 was when I actually committed to like, okay, I'm going to finish. No more thinking about quitting. Like, you're finishing this thing no matter what it takes. It's just interesting that it took 5 days to get there. And yeah, and I certainly was like getting texts from friends like, keep going. You have no reason to quit right now. My body was fine. I had no mechanical issues the entire race, which is like unheard of. Nothing. So it was like all of these odds are in my favor. You have no reason to stop right now. And I had a flexible work schedule at that time. So it was like great. It was like there's no commitments I need to get back to. Like, this is worth finishing. And it's funny with bikepacking races, like I finished at 8 p.m. in the dark in Montpelier, and one of the race directors like showed up to like say like congratulations, but no one was around. It's like very anticlimactic in that way because you finish at these random times, and because it's not like a sponsored event in that way, like there's no finish line. You just like roll into the steps of Montpelier, the Capitol building, and you're like, okay, I guess I'm done. I'll go home now.
Man, wow, that's amazing. You're incredible. That's so cool. That is so cool. I obviously know that you're an endurance athlete, and I think I know the race that you're talking about. I think you've mentioned it in some context, but I don't think I knew that you ended up winning the entire thing. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I don't know if that would happen now because it has become more competitive, which is awesome to see. Just people out there like actually racing it from the start line and going for it, which is really cool. And there's been some like incredible women that have lined up and made some like amazing times. I'll have to look up what the FKT is now for it, because women have certainly broken barriers since then, which is also really cool to see.
Yeah.
So that's like my one claim to fame. I had an FKT for a little bit, and and I won an overall race.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, well, the next one that I had in mind to share is a really general statement that I think everyone who knows me listening to this knows, but just that my most favorite thing to do in the whole wide world is to go hiking. And I'm very lucky that I have some amazing friends that I've had some really wonderful hiking adventures with, and hopefully we'll have many, many more to come. But my favorite thing to do is to solo hike. I've learned it's something I need to do for my mental health, and it's it's become something where I'll start to notice if I'm getting a little stagnant or getting a little irritable, or the Ayurvedic word for it might be tamasic, feeling a little mentally heavy, a little unmotivated.
Mm.
And then I'll realize, oh, it's been over a week since I've been alone in the woods. And that's what I need to do, is just go alone in the woods. I thought about mentioning this because I went on one this week and I had a conversation out loud with myself the entire time. And it was so helpful and just helped me like release some things and work through some things and feel grounded. And then I was like noticing the different flowers popping up and feeling motivated. And I'm like, oh, this is just such a part of who I am. And I am not myself when I don't get alone time in the woods. And yeah, I'm sure that resonates with a lot of people.
Did you grow up with that, or is that something that evolved for you?
I started hiking when I was end of high school. I want to say like senior year of high school, and pretty immediately fell in love with it. And then started getting a little bit more serious with it with COVID, actually. And that's when I started doing like longer hikes in the White Mountains, and slowly but surely have been picking away at the 4,000 footers in the White Mountains. I have 3 hikes left there.
Which ones? Which ones are left?
Let's see. I have Adams and Flume and Liberty
Okay.
and 2 of the Carters, I believe. So 5 peaks, but 3 hikes. Yeah.
Cool. Those are all good ones.
I will say, in like reflecting back on our younger selves, I didn't pass the mile in gym
Mm.
class. And it's something that was mortifying and so embarrassing. So even though hiking for me, like I've described, it's more just about being out in the woods and the mountains and being very deeply immersed in nature, I also do have that part of me that's like, oh, I just was on my feet and moved 15 miles, like whatever it is, and just can feel like that's a little inner healing for that version of myself that couldn't do that.
Well, I mean, that in itself, I don't think is a like that mile test is, I think, that's like not how we gauge fitness. It's like individual, right? Let's look at the individual. But also like need to see like the progression. Like I've felt that too in different areas where to like feel that way and then it kind of motivates you to make a change or to like feel differently or move in the direction of the person that you enjoy being and like explore what that is. And I think that will your story will definitely resonate with people in their own version, which is really cool.
Hmm. For me, like I think physical exercise is something where I had to find something I really enjoyed,
Mm. Mm.
because I did try running for many years and I did do some races and got into that for a bit, but I don't think it was ever something that felt good in my body. I've known people
Mm.
that they love it. I think for me, it was trying to make something happen, but hiking becomes my motivation to try to stay strong so that I can be in the woods for longer and longer and go higher and higher. So it's yeah, I feel grateful to find something that I genuinely enjoy as far as exercise, because for so many years of my life I really didn't have that.
If you are enjoying this conversation, it would mean the world to us and help support our work if you'd like, share, leave a review, as well as subscribe to our podcast on whichever platform you use. If you're looking for more connection or would like to support this podcast, we'd love to have you join our Patreon for $5 a month. Here you'll get bonus episodes and access to our community chat Q&A.
And don't forget to check out our wellness library, which is filled with self-guided classes, kitchen tutorials, herbal recipes, and more Ayurvedic practices, all for just $5 a month. Check out the link in the show notes.
Well, I feel like mine are getting less fun. I feel like I gave all my fun ones. Well, I don't know if people know this about me, but it certainly stems from childhood, but I like love ice cream. Ice cream is I could eat it every day if I really let myself. It's like
And that's fun. I feel like ice cream is the most fun thing in the world.
well, I think it's kind of unexpected where people are like, well, you're all about health and like and it's like, well, yeah, there's something about ice cream that is like so enjoyable to me. But we grew up with it. I come from a divorced family, but my mom's house and my dad's house always had like 3 different cartons of ice cream. And like every night we would always have ice cream after dinner, and it was like the thing that we would do. And so it's just funny thinking about it, knowing Ayurveda now, right? And like how it's like, oh, okay, well, certainly that's probably not good for your health. Like every now and again, sure. But like, yeah, I think I just have a love for ice cream, maybe is like the thing that people might not know about me. I guess what's funny about that too is like before he knew me, he like wasn't really interested in ice cream. And now he also loves ice cream. And so so maybe it's something that I enjoy sharing with other people.
What's your favorite flavor?
Coffee Oreo.
Okay.
Yeah, there's Trails End if anyone's ever in North Conway. They're not sponsoring this, but I love them.
Maybe they will. I would love if our first sponsor was an ice cream shop.
That'd be amazing. I'll text the owner and see what she says. Yeah, there's Trails End is right in North Conway, and they've been in the area for a long time and do really well. We love going there, and it's like our treat when we go out for a treat. It's like what we go do, and always in a waffle cone. So we get waffle cone, coffee Oreo with chocolate sprinkles. John always gets cookie dough with the same setup. So that's like our thing that people probably don't know. So when you drive by Trails End, just like look for me. I'm probably there.
Well, I love that fact about you, and I don't know if we've ever had ice cream together, so we should probably change that. And
let's do it.
I'll just say, I think I mentioned already on here that I moved to Vermont 3 years ago. I was very unprepared for Vermont's ice cream game, and just with how much local dairy there is here. And so I've always loved ice cream. I kind of feel like, not to be judgy, but I don't know that I would trust someone who didn't like ice cream. But my ice cream love has gotten deep since moving here. It's pretty magical.
Yeah. Well, okay. So what's your favorites? What are your go-tos?
Yeah. Oh, that's such a hard question because it depends on the mood, right? I've really become a maple creamy person, which people might not know what that is. I didn't before moving here. So a creamy essentially is soft serve ice cream that has a higher milk fat percentage than regular soft serve ice cream, and it's made with maple syrup. And yeah, it's pretty magical. I can also go the hard serve route and get a good peanut butter cup ice cream or cookie dough, or I do love a good black raspberry chocolate chip, but I do often go for just the classic maple creamy.
Yeah, maple creamies are life-changing, and just knowing that it's like local maple syrup is just it's incredible.
Well,
It's so good.
yeah, that's Ayurvedic, right? That's about as Ayurvedic as it can get. It's made locally. Well, I actually don't think this one's nearly as fun as ice cream, but something that a lot of people I don't think know about me is that I'm a Reiki practitioner. And I say practitioner because that's like technically the title. Like, I guess maybe it's more accurate to say that I've done my Reiki training for level 1 and level 2. Level 1 is in person, level 2 is distance. But I don't really consider myself a practitioner because I've primarily kept it super personal, and I primarily give Reiki to my dog, Winston, and myself and my partner and like a couple of friends and family as things have come up. But it's kind of interesting. Like at one point, I did think it was going to be a part of my offerings, and I have included it with some clients who I've worked with who have either brought it up to me or needed that extra support in that way. And I'm curious to see if I'll end up bringing it in again. But kind of the funny story behind it and why I thought I'd share it on here is, so my mom's a Reiki practitioner. So I grew up with Reiki, and maybe this is part of my purple hair rebellious years, but I also was someone at one point who was very focused on science and thought that anything that couldn't be proven in a randomized control trial was baloney and woo-woo, and there was nothing beneficial from it. And so it's really interesting to think back on that version of myself now. And I'd say I'm somebody now, I feel like I have a really balanced relationship with science. I still enjoy reading research. It's part of my gig as a speech pathologist, and even reading Ayurvedic research is something I can super nerd out into. And I've also really come to understand the limitations, both with how things get funded and whether or not certain things get research, and also what's considered the gold standard of research studies is something that's really only
Mm.
designed to look at certain things.
Mm.
And so I've just like come to a place of having a more balanced relationship. But I think going back to how you started talking about this and these different versions of ourselves, it would have been a big shocker to a younger version of myself that I would have done Reiki training at one point in time. So yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I feel like knowing you now, like you have a really nice blend of both science and spirit. I think that you really do pull from both through our conversations, what I've seen. So
Mm.
it's interesting to hear you describe it in that way, kind of that evolution of where you've come from. That's cool. Have you had any Reiki experiences that have felt either really transformative or kind of a big shift happen either for you or in offering it to another being?
So with Winston, with my dog, so he's the love of my lives, first of all. He's behind me if anyone's watching the video. But anyway, so we adopted Winston 2 years ago, and he was 3 at the time, and we were his 4th companions in this life. And yeah, we don't know the full story, but he went through some pretty heavy trauma. We very much utilized Ayurveda for helping him get himself back physically, and brought some ghee into his diet and things like that. But I also started offering him Reiki. And it's the coolest experience that I've had with Reiki because he ended up asking me for it. Like, there's no other way I can say that. He would come and sit on my lap, especially if there was like a thunderstorm or gunshots or something going on. He would come and lay on my lap and put his head on me and just kind of look up at me. So I'd put my hands on him and activate the Reiki, and he would just immediately melt into me. And it would be like a, yes, that's what I was asking for. And a couple times I would go up to him and start, and he would kind of give me a look or kind of communicate in a way, or sometimes even just move off the chair and say like, no, I'm not into this right now. But it was such a bonding experience for us, and just something I was so and still am so grateful for, to be able to support him with it and just help him feel really grounded and just know how loved
Mm.
he is, because he's
Yeah.
amazing.
Oh, and that's really cool, like that he came to you for it, and like just knew
Yeah.
like this is where I go to feel safe and like this is my mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, that's really sweet. I think you told me at one point too that you were giving him Abhyanga.
Yes, Winston has also gotten a Bianca. At first, I think he's kind of like, What are you putting on me?" And then he's like, "Oh, yeah, rub that oil on me."
That's so amazing.
It's really helped
Yeah.
because he had a lot of skin
Yeah.
issues too, and I think can just be prone to dryness. And so, yeah, a little oil on him before his bath or shower. And we just use jojoba, just a really light oil.
And that's not very scent forward, right? So does he lick it at all or is he
Not really.
Mm.
No. We'll bathe him like pretty soon after.
Oh,
He's not
okay.
he's not getting the the usual like 20 minutes to let the oil sit in, cuz I think maybe just to avoid him then laying on all my furniture and whatnot, but yeah.
Yeah,
uh,
that's interesting. Yeah, we've never tried that with Rosa. She loves ghee though. In the morning when I have ghee on the counter and she'll ask for it just like you're saying. And I know it's like her ghee look. Like she has a different look when she's asking for ghee than when she's like wanting food or something. And she'll come and she'll just sit and she knows like she'll sit very well and she'll just look at me and she knows like, oh, mom's in the kitchen in the morning. She's probably having her ghee. I'm gonna get some too, and she loves it. It's really cute to see her, like, lick it up.
Oh.
After we have big days out, I'll make sure she gets her ghee to help her joints and help those tissues
Mm.
that she was out working hard with.
Yeah, ghee is so great for so many reasons. And I actually had a client joke to me once and be like, "Are you sponsored by ghee? Because you're just always talking about ghee."
Yes,
So,
we're sponsored by ghee and Abhyanga.
and hopefully a future ice cream shop.
It's the perfect combination.
Seriously, I think those are my three favorite things in life: of yanga, ghee, and ice cream.
Well, I have one more that I thought of while we were talking about this that I don't know, maybe it'll surprise people, but I am all about the Irish goodbye. I feel like, oh, I've already talked to people and like said all the things, like, "Oh, it's time to leave. I'm going to go." I don't want people to feel like I don't love them or I didn't say goodbye for a reason. I'm just ready to leave and I'm going to go. But John has helped me see the other side of that because he doesn't believe in the Irish goodbye. And he's like, no, we have to say goodbye to everyone before we go. And it's a kinder way to leave. But in years prior to John, I've been all about the Irish goodbyes.
Yeah. Are you Irish?
I am Irish, yeah, so I can
Mm.
do it. It's okay. I gotta pass.
I know for me, sometimes I can struggle with just like the small talk piece. Do you feel like that's the piece of it with the goodbye
Mm.
component? Yeah.
Or it's like, "Oh, we've already chatted," and different scenarios, right? If it's like a couple people, I'm not just like gonna get up and leave. I think
Yeah.
that's more I've heard of that more happening as like a true Irish goodbye. You're in the middle of a conversation and someone's just like leaving the table. But more in like social gathering situations. Well, we've already talked to everyone, so like it's okay if I leave. Like they know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a little bit of that, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I will officially, not that I would have at all before, but I will officially not take offense if we're
Yes,
at a
please.
gathering together and
Yeah.
Brady's pieced out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, please don't. I think part of it is probably, like, sometimes I just feel awkward in my goodbyes, and so I kind of just avoid them.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I feel you there. Well, so my last one is one you don't know. So I am currently enrolled in a class on animal and plant telepathy. And I have to kind of share the story behind it.
Mhm.
So, well, I told Winston's story a little bit. So we like brought Winston home and physically, mentally, emotionally, he was going through a lot. And we ended up meeting an animal herbalist at a farmer's
Mhm.
market. And she was great and was able to give us some things to support his digestion and his ear health. He had a lot of issues there. And then she ended up recommending an animal communicator, which was totally new to me. And I was like, oh, I'm open minded. Like, it can't hurt. We'll see. And we booked an appointment with her. And it was really, really cool. And it was something where both Bryce and I noticed a huge shift in Winston after that. And it was like he really knew that he was home and really understood, okay, like these are my humans, like this is where I'm at. Again, I think having so many different companions in that time. So it's something that I've always just been really fascinated from that experience. And the person that did that offering with Winston, Michelle Thomas, she has been putting out some different classes and it was something that I've stayed connected with her work. And it's super cool. It's really all been about meditating and getting ourselves grounded and being open to the fact that there are all of these sentient beings around us that are communicating differently. And my main motivation for doing it is one, I'm kind of addicted to just learning in general. And this year, I've already done like a postpartum doula training. I'm starting practitioner training in the fall. Like, I'm someone who's always really addicted to learning. And again, that science part of me. And so I thought it would be a fun way to balance that out. And my main goal is we are currently still very much learning how to steward our land. And it's been something that's really intriguing of like, oh, like, is there some ways that I can ask the land and ask the plants and ask the herbs and get some information as to they know what they need. So yeah, it's kind of big for me to put that out there. I think I've been on this journey of really accepting this spiritual part of myself and really owning it. And so I totally understand that it's going to sound super out there for some people. I just am somebody who always loves to learn from nature and I think can get very very cerebral. So it just seemed cool and different and something that playing with.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, it's also very on brand for you. Like with addicted to learning is pitta, right?
Yeah, and I feel like it's now become my brand to like be, again, I'm someone who can really go deep into science, but also I'm almost like the pendulum swings, and I'm now in the place of wanting to dive deeper into that. And I've always just found
Yeah.
telepathy in general to be really interesting, and it's always just made sense to me that that might even be like the evolution and where things are going, and not to like
Mm.
go bring us in a whole other area there. Right.
And what a great way to connect with like you're saying, the land that you live on, right? And
Yeah.
just your environment that you're in, and understand it more and learn how to support it, right? Like it's learning you as you're learning it at the same
Mm,
time, and learning how to like coexist in that environment, and making it sustainable for not just your generation, but like whoever's there generations to come that's after
yeah.
you, in that on that land. Someone described interacting with nature is that go and lay next to a tree and see how the tree responds.
Mm,
And I
yeah.
just think it was so neat to think about nature in that way, and like how we're interacting with it. And it sounds like you'll have more to share in exploring this path of what nature can offer.
I feel like it's this next chapter of this idea and this understanding that we are nature, and just like you said, getting a little more immersed in my little ecosystem up here. I think it's so easy for us as humans to just like, think that we're communicating in a certain way and living in a certain way and just forget how that's happening around us. I'm excited to see what comes from it.
I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Keep us
Yeah.
posted.
Yeah. Thanks. I will. I'm only a few weeks in, so
Okay. Well, look, we did it. We
we did
like
it.
shared all of these unique, interesting things. I think you're interesting, Rita. You shared a lot of interesting things.
Thanks, Brittany. I think you're interesting. I think you're a really can I say badass on here? I think you're a badass between the truck and the 640-mile bike race. That's shoo.
Yeah, living in a house is easy.
Hmm.
Well, I really enjoyed this. It's fun to get to know you in this way a little bit more, and hopefully maybe get to know some of our listeners more too if they want to share some of their unique stories as well. So yeah, this is super fun.
Yeah, super fun. I always appreciate that. I think you can pull me out of my comfort zone a little bit with these and propose these more personal episodes. But I agree with you that I would love to hear from others. And that's a fun theme that we ended up landing on here.
Yeah.
Like, what are these different versions of you and how are they a part of who you are today? And yeah, I love that.
If you enjoyed today's episode, it would mean the world to us and help support our work if you'd like, share, leave a review, as well as subscribe to our podcast on whichever platform you use. If you're looking for more connection or would like to support this podcast, we'd love to have you join our Patreon for $5 a month. Here you'll get bonus episodes and access to our community chat Q&A.
And don't forget to check out our wellness library, which is filled with self-guided classes, kitchen tutorials, herbal recipes, and more Ayurvedic practices, all for just $5 a month. Thanks so much for being here with us. Until next time, be well.